I never take for granted that I live here. There's trees and there's birds. Being stuck for 2 years in prison cells where you had nothing but concrete, it definitely takes its toll. I was totally anti-meth. Then I experienced a series of losses. Dad died. My job that was really important to me terminated, and then 3 days later my mother died. There are things from my childhood like childhood sexual abuse, the experiences with the police in our family. In some ways it's more accessible to go and get drugs than it is to get a freaking counselling appointment. But it didn't take long. Within a 2-year period, it definitely spiralled. In graphic terms, I guess I was dealing and selling methamphetamine predominantly. So I ended up on a 4-year sentence for drug charges.
I've never worn this in a real capacity, except for my admission to the bar. But that's the wig, so that's what a lawyer looks like. So I think when I was younger, I would have thought that a criminal was someone very bad and very scary, someone who had chosen to do wrong. Now, as I'm an adult but also working in this field, I try really hard not to even label people as criminals. I think that's really, really unhelpful because people aren't criminals. There are people that have a ton of criminal convictions, but more often than not, that's because of a whole variety of things that have happened in their lives.
Kia ora. Charlotte.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Good to meet you. How are you? Nice to meet you too.
What was your experience with police like when you were growing up?
It was really hard. So because my mother was an activist, she was targeted. So my mum is Merata Mita, the first Māori woman to write and direct a feature film. She's considered the godmother of Indigenous cinema. We went from being a pretty happy-go-lucky household to a family that had to hold a lot of trauma from our experiences with the police. And so my brother was beaten by the police on our front doorstep more than once. In a normal family, I'd like to think that people are brought up to believe that the police are there to protect you, to protect your rights and to serve your community. And instead our experience of them were the opposite.
The police when I was growing up were like nothing but a protective force. I don't think I have ever been stopped by police. May it please the Court, Counsel's name is Shade. I appear today for this defendant. Mum, this matter is scheduled for a Section 106 application for discharge without conviction. We have this overrepresentation of Māori people in the prison system itself, and certainly I do see that reflected in the people that come through my door. They are just more likely to be investigated because their car is not a very nice car, and it's the kind of car that the police kind of have on their radar, or they live in a bad part of town where the police have quite a strong presence in the area. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a whole lot of other people doing the same things, but they're not getting caught.
As a statistic, as a number, I thought, yeah, that's bad. But when I got into prison and actually saw what that looks like, all these women had children, you know, who were all doing hard time too. Like the most favourite photo of mine is the photo of my son here, Lance Tikitere Fitzgerald. This is the picture that was used at his funeral. I got to bring it back into the prison, and I got to have this in my cell. 11 months into my sentence, it was the last day of school. He was playing with his friends, it was hot. They'd been diving and swimming all day. And he ended up hitting his head and he drowned. It was definitely the worst day of my life, and I never thought, you know, when my mum died, that felt, when I lost my job actually, that felt like the worst day of my life. And then when Mum died, that felt like the worst day of my life. And then my relationship broke up, and I thought that was, you know, the worst thing that could happen. And then being sentenced to prison and being in prison and missing my son so much, I thought, well, this is the fucking, you know, this is the worst. Like, it doesn't get worse than this. But then when my son passed away, you know, it's like, there's just so many levels to descend down into, you know, so many depths. I was entitled to a 3-day unescorted leave, but he only applied for a 12-hour escorted visit for me. I got to spend 10 minutes sitting on the pai with my son, and then the lid went on and we took the walk up to our urupa and buried him there, and then straight back into the car, straight back to Gisborne Airport, to Auckland, straight back to the prison. And at least I got to bring the photograph in. You know, that was a humane thing they did.
Our laws come from England. Traditionally, sentences were about punishment. I think we can totally question that. It's been a fundamental in all of the Western world.
Kaupapa Māori approach to me wouldn't start in a courthouse, wouldn't even start in the back of a police car. From a Māori perspective, it's not about there's a crime, we've got a victim, we've got an offender. It's more like about, you know, who caused the harm, who experienced the harm, and how can we all collectively take responsibility for healing that harm. Are we as a society going to choose punishment or treatment, health or handcuffs? It's really up to us. I really believe if we're serious about reducing harm and making our communities safer, that we would have rehab available wherever there's a district court.
You definitely see in the justice system the difference between what people's lives are worth. For instance, a Pākehā person going through sentencing will actually be treated differently to a Māori person, a person with face tattoos, a person with gang affiliations.
I don't have to let my past define who I am today, and that I can be proud of the person that I am today and proud of the changes that I've made in my life. Nau mai haramai, ki raro I te tuanui o Apōpō. This is my workspace and I'm the Creative Tech Hub Manager here. Having a criminal conviction has been extremely difficult in terms of looking at the issue of employment. You know, I'd served my time, but I felt like I was continuing continued to be punished back out in community. And it's hard to be in a situation where people feel ashamed of you because of what you've done in your past, and that you're not being judged on your current actions and behaviours. The previous person who held my role invited me to come down and check out what was going on here. And I was impressed, I felt relaxed because it was a Māori environment in a way that where I felt had that permission to just be myself, to just be Māori, that I didn't have to put on an act.
I think for me as a Pākehā, we need to get better at listening to the needs of the communities that are most affected by the justice system and who spend the most time going through it.
What I would like to see in the future is for this system, this current system, to be dismantled, and for the power to deal with harms in our community given back to the community. I don't think tinkering around with this broken system is going to solve anything.
Can I see a world where the Pākehā system would give up their power and hand justice back to communities? I mean, I think we have to dream about that world. More than that though, I think that the Māori way of doing justice would benefit all New Zealanders.
Yeah, that's the only way I personally can see any way forward.